I, 32M, married my wife, Janet, 26F, 3 years ago. We have a 7-month-old daughter. A couple of days back, I found something in her bag which blew my mind. It was a pack of condoms. I'm not the kind of guy who checks his wife's bag, but this time it was urgent. My wife was in the shower and I needed a diaper to change my baby. I had put the baby at the changing table and then I realized we had run short of one. I remember my wife keeps a few diapers in her bag when she takes the baby for a walk. Her bag was lying near the baby counter, easier for me to grab it. I opened it and found 2 diapers inside it. While pulling it out, something came out of the bag and fell on the floor. Pack of condoms. It was a pack of 3. The packet was open and it had just 1 left. I checked the bag if the remaining 2 had fallen inside, but it was not there. Meant that 2 were already used. My baby was crying profusely. So, I kept the condom inside my pocket and changed my baby. When she came out of the shower, I put the baby in the crib and pulled out the condom from my pocket and asked Janet about this. The actor in her came out and she outrightly denied it. She said it wasn't hers. She tried to gaslight the situation and pin it on me. I was shocked at how could she lie so smoothly. I said I found it in her bag. She replied, "But you just now pulled it from your pocket, right?" I flipped out at her because she was not ready to accept it was hers. She then burst out in laughter and said, "Oh, poor you, look at your puppy face. I was messing up with you. Yeah, the condom is mine. I bought it for us." She winked as she said this. It was evident that she was lying because we don't use protection. She's breastfeeding and her cycle is yet to be back, so we don't use protection now. She dismissed me and said her cycle is back to normal, so we might need protection if we don't want to have back-to-back kids. I asked her what happened to the 2 of them. "There's just 1 inside the packet. It should have been 3. She laughed and said it was a funny story. Yesterday she brought it and then she went out with friends. A guy was hitting on her friend, Kyle. Things got heated up between them and they went to seek a corner, but they didn't have a condom, so she lent 2 units to them. I gave her a look of disbelief. I said, "Do you want me to believe this?" She said yes, because that's the only truth. She said I can call Kyle and ask for myself. I didn't call her because if Janet is lying, then Kyle is obviously on board with her and she's gonna lie too. So what's the point? I didn't call her, but I told Janet that I'm not buying her rat ass shit, so she needs to come clean to whatever she has been up to. She's weeping that I don't understand her, that she has just delivered a baby and is going through postpartum depression, and amidst this, I was accusing her of cheating. I have not tried to make things up with her. I have left it that way, but she has made the environment murky. She is just curling up inside the bed in the dark room. She is refusing to switch on the lights, saying she doesn't like the brightness. She is not eating at all. I'm not sure how she is when I'm not home, but this is what she has been doing after the confrontation. I am the one who usually apologizes right after our fights because, you know, hardly any woman breaks the ice and says sorry first. However, this time, I just don't feel like apologizing at all. I don't think I have done anything wrong by asking her upfront about the condoms. Do you guys think I could have done anything differently? Update 1. Thank you for engaging in my post. You guys were right in saying that she flashed the red flag right across my face. Yes, she did, and I didn't let it slide. Some of you asked for more information about Janet to comment on this situation. Well, Janet and I have known each other for over 6 years. We met at a friend's party. She was the most gorgeous woman out there. We spent the evening together, talking, dancing, and having fun, but I forgot to ask for her number. I'm not a party person, but it was my friend's promotion party and he insisted I attend. I asked my friend about Janet and he said he didn't know her either. She was his colleague's friend. I requested my friend to ask his colleagues for Janet's number. He was reluctant to do so because my friend was married and he didn't want his colleagues to think that he was hitting on Janet. After a lot of convincing, he got her number. I kept it for a week before texting her. I didn't know how she would take this to be. I didn't want to come across as desperate or cheap. I mean, she was gorgeous and I'm sure there were many men in the party who wanted her number. Nonetheless, I mustered the courage and messaged her. Luckily, she replied that she regretted not asking for my number. From there on, we hit it off. She was working a part-time job. She said she didn't like a full-time job because it involves a lot of commitment and she likes to live freely on her terms. Could have been a red flag, but I didn't think it in that way. I was immersed deeply in my work and I was not liking it that way. I wanted to be free like her. So, it kinda clicked for me. After dating for 2 years, I proposed to her, and we got married in a closed ceremony with friends and family. Janet didn't want to waste money on a grand wedding. She wanted to use that money for vacation instead. After the wedding, we went on a 15-day trip to Europe. 1.5 years after the marriage, Janet got pregnant. She freaked out because we didn't plan it that way. We wanted to travel the world together and do a bunch of stuff before having a baby. She wanted to get rid of it. I was not happy with her decision. I love kids and I wanted one, but since she had different plans, I never forced her into pregnancy. But when she got pregnant unexpectedly, I tried to convince her to keep the baby. She was in 2 minds, but ultimately she kept it. Pregnancy journey is anyways tough and cranky for women, and since I was the one who convinced her into this, I had to face the brunt of it. I did everything to keep her happy. Thankfully, Her pregnancy was without any complications, yet she threw tantrums and I happily took it, because it was her time. After the baby came, she became worse. I thought it was because of the lack of sleep and tiredness, nursing the baby. She got so depressed that she was caged now and that she could not have her former freedom. I took her for therapy and the doctor said it was postpartum depression and it was natural for all women post-delivery. I tried everything to give her the freedom she needed. I hired a full-time nanny so that she could have free time to herself. Our daughter was 2 months old, and since then Janet has resumed her life of partying and going out with her friends as she used to do it earlier. I never stopped her because the doctor said, happy mom would nurture happy baby. 7 months later, here we are. I found a condom inside her bag and she is throwing her best friend under the bus to save her pretty ass. Coming to the updates, as I mentioned earlier, Janet was trying to gaslight the situation but I didn't give in. I told her if she thinks she would put up an act and would get away with her actions, then she's wrong. I'm not gonna let go off this until she tells me the truth because what she had earlier said is pure BS. Since she was not opening up, I started digging out myself. I wanted to check her phone but she's so guarded about it that I could never access it. Even when she would sleep, she would keep it next to her or under her pillow. She had always been like that with her phone so I never questioned her. Directly asking her to show her phone was also not an option. She would again make a hue and cry about it that I was doubting her and blah blah. I don't know how else to get the evidence because this woman has no conscience and she's not gonna confess. Any suggestion is greatly welcomed. Update 2. Thanks for the advice. As most of you suggested, I was about to hire a pie on her, but before that, I found a way myself. One Sunday I just thought of stalking her social media account. I couldn't find anything from a public view but her picture with her best friend, Kyle, caught my eye. I stalked Kyle's profile and got to know she was married and had a toddler. The other day Janet said that Kyle was making out with a guy at the bar and she needed the condom. I was like, wait a minute, does her husband know about all this? I went to Janet and said, hey, I'm sorry that I doubted you for the condom thing. I trust you. If you said it was Kyle, it should be her. She smiled at me. I asked her if Kyle does this always. She said yes and started listing down some of the incidents where Kyle made moves at the men in the bar. I don't know how true it was or she was just making it up to cover for herself. After listening to her supposedly funny incidents about Kyle, I dropped the bombshell. I said, well, that's funny. BTW, isn't Kyle married and has a toddler? Are you guys supporting her in her cheating? Does her husband know about all this? She froze like an iceberg and then started ranting, no, that's not what I meant. It's just healthy flirting and nothing else. I intervened, but you just shared so many stories of her picking men from the bar. And why would she need a condom for healthy flirting? She said, oh, did I say Kyle? My bad. Stupid pregnancy brain. I meant Kiara, my single friend. She's the one who's goofing around. Kyle is a sober one. She doesn't do all this stuff. I was in awe. How swiftly this woman can make stories. I laughed and said, I caught you. You don't have to save Kyle's ass. Are you worried that I would tell Kyle's husband about her truth? She sighed, yes, please don't do that. Her marriage would be ruined. They have a baby. Please. She loves her husband dearly. It was just meaningless sex and nothing more. I looked at her with a smile. I knew she was speaking for herself and not Kyle. Everything she told about Kyle was actually Janet's, but she won't confess so easily. I told her that I was not feeling good about Kyle cheating on her husband, so I'm gonna tell her husband everything. Janet screamed at me that why was I acting like a saint, who am I to do the moral policing here, and blah blah blah. I said I'm not listening to anything. I'm gonna tell Kyle's husband about everything. She mellowed down and started sobbing. I got the vibe that she was about to confess, but I was not ready for it yet. I stormed inside my room and locked it. I didn't want her to get away with her infidelity by just confessing. I wanted my revenge. This cheating is not only gonna cost her the marriage but also her friendship. I texted Kyle on Instagram. I told her that Janet had told me about her dirty little secret. She was aghast. I sent her the recordings where Janet was ranting stories about Kyle's affair. Kyle left me on scene, but I heard Janet's phone ringing. A few moments later Janet was banging at the door, crying and yelling, why are you doing this to me? Open the door. Why are you destroying everything? Why can't you trust me? Probably she was still on call with Kyle because she yelled, he's not opening the door. God knows what he is up to. Then Kyle called me. She asked me to listen to Janet. I said I was not going to listen to anyone and the next thing I'm gonna do is send the recording to her husband. She freaked out. She pleaded that I don't do anything before listening to Janet. I said I'm gonna call her husband and then we both can listen to all the stories together. She blurted out that whatever Janet said was not Kyle's story but Janet's, and she had been cheating on me for over 4 months. I asked her why did she not stop her friend. Kyle said she and the other girls did try to knock sense to her, but Janet would argue that she gave me a beautiful baby so she deserved this little pleasure. Fair enough. I was convinced that Kyle was speaking the truth. My gut feeling hinted at this truth long before, but I wanted to cut all the support system for Janet. I asked Kyle to come over along with her husband. I don't know if I went too far, but I wanted Kyle's husband to know what a piece of shit is Janet and that he should keep Kyle away from her. Kyle agreed to come, but she requested me not to show the recordings to her husband. Because Janet was so good at her storytelling that anyone would believe it to be true. She didn't want her husband to doubt her unnecessarily. I said done. Kyle was at my house within an hour. I was locked inside my room until she arrived. The moment she came, I heard Janet shouting at her, "Why are you here? I told you I'll manage. Now go away, I'm gonna deal with this." I came out while Kyle was yelling at Janet for falsely framing her. It was just too much chaos with both of them screaming at each other. Kyle's husband intervened and asked Janet to tell her side of the story. Kyle gave Janet the look of "don't dare to lie." Janet sobbed and confessed everything. She accepted that whatever incident she told me that day was not about Kyle, it was all hers. She has been picking up men from the bar and sleeping with them. Kyle's husband was shocked that Janet was such a bitch. She was cheating and then making her friend the scapegoat to get away with her cheating. He yelled at Kyle, "This is the kind of friend you brood." She was about to wreck our marriage. After Janet was done with the confession, Kyle and her husband stood up to left and Kyle said, "Don't you ever contact me. I love my husband and my family. You are not worth losing them." Janet held Kyle's hands and started crying, but she shrugged her off and went away. After they left, Janet looked at me and said, "Are you happy now? What did you get by humiliating me in front of my friend and her husband? Is this what men do?" I glared at her and said, "Your woman card is not gonna work anymore. You have used all your cards, pregnancy, postpartum, everything. Now, I'm gonna show you the consequences of your actions. The humiliation you are talking about is just halfway through it, you have more to come. This is not over. You said you deserve to cheat on me because you gave me a baby, right? I'm gonna give you what you deserve. Just wait." I took my stuff and went to the other room. I called up my lawyer and discussed my case. I told him to dig out any loopholes in the law and get me full custody of my daughter. He asked me to get all the evidence of Janet's negligence towards the baby, like her drinking and partying habits and her hookups. He said he would make a case around child safety, that it was not safe for a child to live with a mother who brings new men to the house every day. I don't know how promising it is, but I'm definitely up for any fight to have full custody of my little girl. I'm gonna protect her from her liar and cheater mother. I'll update it when all of this is over. Update 3, sorry, I had to delete my last update. I had revealed my lawyer's plan about ripping off the custody from Janet. I shouldn't have done that. The day after posting the update, when I met my lawyer, he asked me not to discuss the case with anyone. I told him that I posted on this subreddit anonymously. He asked me to delete it ASAP. Now that everything is over, I have reposted it. It is available on my profile page. I'm still not allowed to get into the nitty-gritty of the law, but here's the other details. After the confrontation, I slept in the guest bedroom. I tried to have a minimal encounter with Janet. She would try to come close to me and make me breakfast and dinner, but I shrugged her off. She even made a sorry cake and bought flowers and cards. She thought I would be over it once my anger subsided. She had no clue what was coming on her way. Almost a month later, my lawyer came down to my place with the divorce papers. Janet freaked out. She was terrified when she was served. She looked at me helplessly like, "What are you doing? How could you do this to me?" After the attorney left, I asked her to pack the stuff and leave. She cried and pleaded to give a chance to our marriage for the sake of our baby. She tried to hug me, but I pushed her away. She said she had nowhere to go. I chuckled, "Not my problem anymore. I gave you everything you wanted. Now I'm gonna give you what you deserve, and you deserve to be on the streets." She threatened to take away the last penny I had. I said, "Sure, good luck hiring a lawyer. The good ones don't come for free unless you want to open your legs to hire them." She went towards my daughter's nursery, but I blocked her. "Whoa, you're not getting her. She's not living on the streets with you." She broke down that I was ripping her off our daughter. I said, "You were not interested in being a mother, did you? I'm freeing you from all the responsibilities. You can now live the life you wanted." She packed her stuff and left. My lawyer built a strong case to get full custody, like hiring a full-time nanny and taking work from home job, etc., but it turned out that Janet was indeed not so keen on keeping the baby. She didn't have a house, nor a job, so she didn't fight for custody at all. However, she went bonkers to claim the alimony. I had to pay a certain amount, can't disclose, sorry, to get rid of her, but it was way too low than what she was demanding, and it was completely worth it to get rid of that whore out of my life. Kyle and her husband visited me one day to check on the baby. Kyle apologized to me for not informing me about Janet's hookups. She said she tried to stop Janet from infidelity, but she didn't listen. She was sorry for the baby. Kyle said she was glad I took full custody because Janet was not so involved with the baby and she would not be able to raise the baby properly like I was doing. Kyle told me that Janet would always crib about how fussy and cranky the baby was and so on. She was overplaying her postpartum thing. Kyle's husband informed me that Janet had reached out to them for help, but he had chased her out. Since then, Janet has been shuffling from one friend's couch to another, and her drinking habit has also hit the tower. I said I don't care what she does with her life now. They offered a helping hand with babysitting. I thanked them for their kind gesture, but I don't think I would need them. My parents have moved in with me to help me with the baby. We also have a full-time nanny. So I think the baby is gonna be fine. I might let her meet her mother someday, but not now. She's just happy and safe with her dad. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Found conned MS in my wife's car and discovered she was sleeping with our daughter's teacher for better grades, so I divorced her and won full custody. Hello, everyone. For the sake of anonymity, I'll be using fake names. Laura and I met after I graduated from college. She was almost rounding up with college then, and though we didn't start dating immediately, we knew each other for at least 3 years before I asked her to be my girlfriend. Our relationship was beautiful, and we matched perfectly with each other. We dated for 3 years before we got married, and for the first 2 years of our marriage, Laura could not conceive. We tried everything possible, did all the tests, and the results showed we were both okay, but no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't make a baby. Not like I wasn't bothered about it. I was. But the person that was most affected was Laura. She loved children, and even while we were dating, she always talked about how we'd start making children once we got married. So it was heartbreaking for her to find out she could not conceive. To make things worse, we were lucky to get pregnant once, and in less than 2 months, she miscarried. This upset Laura and affected many things about her, including her enthusiasm toward life and the things she loved. It got so bad that she would start crying if she saw baby ads or pictures on Facebook. But luckily for us, towards the 3rd year of our marriage, Laura conceived again and gave birth to our beautiful daughter, Maya. Indeed, Maya was a bundle of joy. She changed so much in our lives, especially Laura's. Laura loved Maya more than life itself, and she did almost everything to make sure Maya was healthy and happy. We treated Maya with so much love, and as she grew up, Laura pampered her with whatever she wanted. She got her the best dresses, shoes, school bags, and everything a girl child should have. There was no asking why Laura loved our daughter so much. Maya's pregnancy came with many complications, and as soon as she was born, Laura and I agreed that one child was enough. That way, we could take good care of her, provide for her and give her the best education. On the other hand, Maya grew to love us and spent more time with her mother. My work took at least 9 hours a day, and most times, I would work overtime to make more money, so except evenings, holidays, and weekends, I barely had time to spend time with Maya, and most evenings, she would already be in bed before I returned home. Honestly, I love the mother-daughter bond Laura and Maya shared, and within me, I always wished I had the same relationship with my mom. Maya became our utmost priority. Her needs were first met before ours. Education-wise, we sent her to an excellent private school. Before Laura and I married, I knew her to be a go-getter and someone who gave her 100% to whatever she was doing, and somehow, she passed the attribute to Maya. She always encouraged Maya to do well in school, make good friends, and be hardworking. She just wanted our daughter's life to be perfect, or so I believed. Initially, it started like motherly advice to her daughter, but as Maya grew older, it felt like she was imposing the whole good grades thing on her. She always wanted Maya to be on top of her class, read more and play less. And I even remember telling her to allow Maya to be a child, especially since having the highest grades was not the most important thing at that stage of her life, but her social skills with her friends and so much more. She was being too hard on Maya, and although Maya did not see it as hard on her, I was an adult and saw it very clearly as Maya continued to grow. She became less interested in reading all the time because it did not allow her to spend time with her friends and neighbors, and Laura took this very personally. It took me a lot of talking before Laura stopped being too serious with our daughter, and I was relieved she was finally allowing Maya to act her age. About a month after Maya's 5th birthday, I was home that weekend, and Laura asked me to help her clean her car. Initially, I was reluctant because I knew how untidy her car was every time I cleaned and how stressful it would be, but I did it anyway. I started by taking out the mats, cleaned the front, and as I was trying to clean the back, I found a pack of condoms in the driver's seat back pocket, and 2 pieces were cut out. Immediately I saw the condom. My heart skipped because we never did it in the car, and the condom wasn't my size. The fact that 2 pieces were missing indicated something was wrong, but I didn't want to confront her without being sure. Seeing the condom in her car definitely changed my attitude toward her for the rest of the weekend, but I lied to her and said I acted that way because of something at work. A couple of days after I found the condom, I secretly set up a dash cam in her car to see who she was having an affair with, if at all she was having an affair. Many thoughts and reasons the condom was in her car crossed my mind, and I thought about all the possible scenarios of someone leaving a condom in her car, but I didn't want to rule out the possibility of her cheating on me. Well, my worst nightmare happened. 2 days after I hid the dash cam in her car, I found out no one left or forgot the condom in her car. My ex-wife was actually sleeping with someone else, and to my greatest surprise, it was my daughter's class teacher. Not only did I get videos from the dash cam I hid in her car, but I also got audio, and what I heard made my heart bleed. I was not only heartbroken, I was very disappointed because my wife was sleeping with our daughter's teacher so he could give her the highest grades in her class. I could not believe she could go to that extreme with her highest grades obsession. Without thinking twice, I contacted the school board and reported everything to them with my evidence. I also confronted Laura that same day and kicked her out of the house in anger. In fact, most of her stuff was already waiting for her in the living room by the time she returned. When I told her I knew she was sleeping with Maya's teacher, she immediately went to her knees and started begging me. She said she did it for Maya and was trying to help her get the highest grades, so it would help with her college applications and whatever. I was so angry, and I kicked her out of the house. At first, she didn't want to leave because she believed she was doing our daughter a favor, but after I yelled at her and my eyes were popping out, she left in fear because she had never seen me so angry. That same week, the school fired my daughter's class teacher, and I contacted a lawyer to start processing our divorce papers. On the other hand, Maya found out that her mother and I were divorcing, and she was so upset. I knew it was hard for her, and she was already asking questions, so I told her the truth so she could stay with me. Don't judge me, what her mother did was terrible, and I didn't try to sugarcoat it. Eventually, we divorced, and I won child custody for Maya. I didn't want her mother putting terrible ideas of desperation in her head, and I believed I did the right thing. I didn't know it would get her like that, but Maya was hurt and stopped talking to Laura. The only time she speaks to Laura is when she is either yelling or screaming at her, and this makes Laura cry all the time, mainly because she loved Maya and did what she did because of her. I still don't know if it's true. It's been almost a year, and I have reduced my working hours to spend time with Maya. Although it still hurts me that Laura betrayed my trust and broke my heart, I'm glad she is not in my life anymore. I may remarry when I feel ready again, but for now, I want to spend time with my daughter and be the best father in the world.